No, Ted, you said something bad in the past. That means you're still bad. Get your racist ass to jail. I have regrets about things that I've said in the past, in all honesty. Like, I think I was too angry in those days. Like back in 2013, 2014, 2015, even like into 2016, I was like an angry guy. I was angry. I was pissed off all the time. I wasn't violent, but I was like frustrated and mad. I wanted to change the world. I wanted to change society. And then late 2016 came and something happened. I want to say, well, let me rewind it. Late 2015, something happened when I began to sort of calm down. What happened was I began to see a lot more toxic comments in regards to Middle Eastern people and Muslims on the internet. So I heard people say things like, why don't we just shoot Arabs with some bullets laced with pig's blood and pig fat? I'm going to dip my bullets in pig fat. And this was during the whole hysteria that was exploding during the San Bernardino situation. You had the San Bernardino shooting. You had the Orlando thing came in 2016. But again, it was within that same zeitgeist. And 2016 came, and you begin to see that intensify, with the rise of Trump and right-wing media. And I want to say in late 2015, I'm pretty sure I wrote this article at that time. I wrote an article saying, hey, enough. Let's stop with this crazy rhetoric, guys. We got to have balance. And I began to really get tired of a lot of this stuff. Because I didn't feel right inside. I didn't feel settled in that way of thinking, that toxic right-wing way of thinking. And then in 2016, I wrote an article about Robert Spencer and Pamela Geller and basically exposing them as Nazis. And they're operatives. They're a subversive element within society. And the fact that Robert Spencer and Pamela Geller have been working with Nazis in Bulgaria, that was a huge, and also Hindu nationalists as well. That was a huge wake up call for me. And I remember writing that article. It was like a 10,000 word article. So there was that. And then in 2017, I wrote an article it was the longest article or one of the longest articles that I had ever written. It was I want to say it was like a 15,000 word essay on the origins of the current day right-wing zeitgeist that we were witnessing at the time. And I went all the way back to the early 2000s, back to 2007, when a lot of this stuff began to become popular. And I began to show how this movement links with the CIA. It's all part of a psychological operation. Now, you could say, well, that's a conspiracy theorist. I think most conspiracy theorists are probably bullshit, but they are conspiracy theories that are definitely real. And the problem with BS conspiracy theories that really can't be proven is that when a real conspiracy theory is presented, or when a true conspiracy is presented, people reject it and say, well, that's a conspiracy theory and it's BS just like the rest of them. It's kind of like the boy who cried wolf, like, oh, there's a wolf. Oh, and everyone comes and tries to help him. And then he lies and he does it a second time and they come to help him and he lies. Then he does it a third time and then he gets eaten by the wolf. But at this point, even though there was a real wolf, nobody believes the boy. And that's what's happening with the term conspiracy. Everyone's like, oh, he says it's a conspiracy, but oh, that's BS just like the rest of them. They are conspiracies that are most definitely real and they can be proven. The problem with real conspiracies is that they take a long time to prove because as the saying goes, big claims calls for big evidence. And so if I'm going to make a claim that, hey, this whole anti-Islam stuff, a lot of it is toxic and a lot of it is linked to the CIA or it's linked to, a government operation, no one's going to believe it, but you have to put forth the effort to prove that and provide big evidence for that. And that's what I did in that article. And that article took me about a month or so to write. It took me a while. I had broken my foot at that time. Well, I broke my foot in 2016, but the injury revived itself in 2017. And I was stuck in bed. So for 2 weeks of all that research, I was in bed researching and writing, and it was a very fun time for me because I was stuck in bed. It's like, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to write this article. My garden grew beautifully at that time. I didn't even work in the garden for those 2 weeks. I was stuck in bed, but thank God it was raining, and so the eggplants all shot up, the peppers all shot up. It was glorious. It was a beautiful year. It was a year of self edification and self knowledge and learning things. And so after 2017, I really became, I was completely disillusioned with everything. I was completely disillusioned with the right wing, completely disillusioned with conservatism and the conservative movement. I became very suspicious of everything, and I still am. So there was that. And again, if you're not going through these sorts of changes, I'm not saying you have to write a 15,000 word article, but if you're not going through these sorts of changes where you notice evil and you don't identify it, then you're brainwashed. You have to be able to recognize the toxicity of what's going on around you, because there's toxicity occurring literally everywhere. So I've changed a lot, and that research and that knowledge really helped me out because it calmed me down, because I came to the realization that so much of what we see in the media is controlled, and it's presented to us for a particular reaction. They want a certain reaction. And understanding that convinced me that there's really nothing that we can do about it. Now, if we all get together as a nation and say we don't want this sort of evil in our society, then things will get done. Or if enough people did that, things will get done. But I, as an individual, just doing what I'm doing, I cannot make any change. The only good thing that I can do is influence a few people on YouTube, because I'm not famous, and thank God I'm not famous. I don't want to be famous. That's all that I can do, but I cannot make any sort of substantial change. And once I came to that realization, I became a hell of a lot calmer, because it's like, what am I going to do? And so it calmed me down greatly also to know that the only control that I truly have is over myself. And that is scary. When you finally come to the realization that the only true power that you have is over yourself, that's really scary, because then we have to see our own sins. We have to see our own transgressions. We have to see our own weaknesses. We have to see all the bad things that we have done. And it's like, well, I can change, but I don't want to. And so we recluse, we hide in our weaknesses. And I myself have weaknesses. I myself am dealing with the same battle that every other human has. So it's just it's a battle. It's a never-ending war, It's a never-ending war, the whole thing. Human existence is a war. That's the problem with TikTok and Instagram and all that. It's fun to watch some of these videos. It's funny. But at the end of the day, they're just huge distractions. Like, these videos are distractions. These little 5-second, 10, 15-second clips that we love. Let's watch another one. It's just 15 seconds. Let's watch another one. And you just keep watching these videos, and an hour has passed by, and you've just lost an hour of your life. Now, you could say, well, I've just lost an hour of my day. But once you say to yourself, I've just lost an hour of my life, that changes everything, And you're watching me right now, but I'm trying to at least edify you. I'm trying to.